everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm happy to have you here today, and I am excited to share a little inside look into my journey with the Levels Health app and how it's been a game changer for me in managing my glucose levels. So when I started to see dysregulation in my glucose levels, I've talked about how I use a glucometer. And so I was just sort of pretending like I had diabetes in a way and was tracking my fasting glucose at home, and I was documenting it in my notebook at home and just trying to see patterns in my glucose and to figure out why I was getting higher readings. And so if you've used a glucometer before, you know that you have to poke your finger many times in a day to start to see some sort of pattern or curve in your glucose, and who wants to do that all day, every day? So in the beginning, I started out doing, just fasting glucose. And then every once in a while, I'd be like, well, that was kind of weird. And I would check, an hour or two after a certain meal, like if I really wanted to dive in specific to a certain meal. And so I would, maybe use the glucometer 4 or 5 times in a day instead of just once, which, adds up too. And it is a little bit of time, but I was willing to put the time in because I wanted to see patterns and get the results I was looking for, which ultimately was lowering my fasting glucose levels. And so I sort of got to a point where I was seeing improvements, but I really wanted to take it to the next level. And for several months, I had been hearing about this company called Levels, and they were doing this beta program. They were building their app in public, and I just kept hearing about it and seeing ads for it, and I was starting to really consider using the app. It was an investment in my health, but I knew that this potentially could be the game changer for me, and it ended up being that. So I joined the Levels beta program, and I started hearing about it late 2019, and I ended up doing this later 2020 into 2021. I did about 7 months on and off of this beta program. So I want to do a little bit of a deep dive into how I found Levels, kind of how the beta program worked and what I got out of it, just to kind of show you how I got here and why I believe in this app, why I believe that other people, this might be the right fit for them. I don't believe that a CGM is the right fit for everyone. That's a future episode. But it was the right fit for me, and I just kind of want to share a little bit more of my experience and kind of a little bit of how the app worked. Now, this was a while ago, so much has changed in the app if you would go on it today. And I will do a review of sort of those features at a later episode as well. So today I'm really just talking about my experience getting started with the beta program. And so if you're on a similar path and you want to understand your health and optimize your well-being, this is, there is technology out there to help us. So if that's sort of you and you're in that boat, you might find this really interesting, and I'm really excited for you to dive in. So let's get started. I'm Caitlin, and your host of the Glucose Glow-Up Show. I'm a natural researcher and girl mama who dove into metabolic health research to heal my insulin resistance, all with the hopes of growing our family. Now I'm here to give you an inside look on how I achieved my glucose glow-up and to share my journey with you so we all can achieve optimal health. I know we all want to be healthy, but with so much noise out there, it's hard to know where to start. Whether you're trying to start or grow your family, improve your fasting glucose or A1C, or just learn how I'm biohacking my health for longevity, you're in the right place. Let's get glowing. So how did I find Levels and some of the research I did? Many of you know I was on a mission to lower my glucose levels, and when I kind of started this whole trying to figure out what was going on with my health thing, I started listening to probably every holistic and alternative health podcast there is. I mean, there was always a podcast for me to listen to daily. I still listen to them. I'm interested in this. I love it. I love doing the research. I love learning, and I love sharing it with you. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep learning. But when you get in this space and you see even some Instagram influencers in that space, advertising for certain things, and they start taking over the ads on the podcast you listen to. So I kept hearing about Levels Health over and over again, and I would see people using it, and I would see them sticking this weird thing in the back of their arm, and I was like, that looks kind of scary, but okay, you do you. And I kept hearing it on the Doctor's Pharmacy, which I've mentioned I listened to with Dr. Mark Hyman, and I just kept hearing it repeatedly. And he kept sharing a link, to bypass the wait list for the full version of the app and just join the beta program. I was like, okay, so I was pretty intrigued at this point because I had been, sort of struggling with my glucose levels and the glucometer thing, and like poking my finger wasn't really all that fun all the time. So I did the research, and I saw their content, and like I said, I saw others using the glucometers, and I was like, well, maybe that might be the next step. Maybe that is what I need to help me figure out this whole glucose thing. So I did dive in. I made the decision to apply, and I got started. Like I said, I did this on and off for about 7 months. So I want to talk more about what Levels actually is before I talk about my experience with the beta program specifically. So the Levels app is different from the app that comes with the manufacturer of the CGM. So when you get a CGM, whoever it is, for instance, I was using the Freestyle Libre in the beta program. That was the only CGM available. So there was a Libre app that you sign up with so that your CGM sends data to the Libre app. And the Libre app connects with the Levels app, which is what I was using. And so Levels created this software that allows you to add notes and meals and receive a score after a 2-hour window of eating. So the data from the Libre app was going to Levels, and that's how I was able to add all these notes and things while seeing my glucose levels on their charts. When you get the score, it ranges from 1 to 10 and shows how well or poorly a meal affected your glucose levels, depending upon the size of the spike, how long your glucose remained elevated. I think 30 milligrams per deciliter or higher is considered a large spike. You don't want to go above that. So basically what Levels app is doing is it's taking the Libre app and it's helping you interpret it better. There is no opportunity to add these notes and see patterns as easily in the Libre app as it is in the Levels app. There's a lot of powerful features. Like I said, there's even more now than when I was in the beta program. But it really helps you interpret it better. So yes, you could have a CGM from your doctor if you got a prescription, but if you're only using the Libre app, you're really missing out on the interpretation piece of the data. Basically, you just connect the Levels app and the Libre app, and once that connection is made, you're all set and you can just start tracking. So a little bit more on specifically on the Levels beta program. Like I said, I applied for the beta program. It required some initial information, and I did get approved. So Levels coordinates with doctors who can write prescriptions for a CGM, since a non-diabetic is not typically going to get a prescription from your doctor. So when everything was settled, I received a shipment of 2 CGMs each month. I could pause the subscription whenever I wanted. The beta program was just a flat fee to use the app and get the CGMs. So at the time it was $199. It was an investment, but I was really ready to give it a try. And what was really cool, I think one of the selling points for me being in the beta program was that my data was being used to fuel research that was going to help other people down the line. And I also oftentimes got emails or surveys or opportunities to provide my perspective and provide feedback on the app. And they really took what we sent to them. They really took it into consideration. And we oftentimes saw those real-time changes in the app, in that month or within a few months if it was something that a lot of people were asking for. So it was really cool for me to know that I was going to be making a difference for people in the future that were going to make this investment. So I thought that was a really cool feature of the program. And we oftentimes got progress reports on what was coming down the line, things they were working on, wish list items. So it really felt like I was even a little bit involved in, while they were building the app. So I thought that was a really cool feature of being in the beta program. Part of what I got as well being with the app, I received weekly progress reports, so kind of give me a breakdown of, the meals I entered in, my score, and my different levels. It gave me like average glucose and things like that as well. Another thing that I got was like an annual recap sort of thing. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it was kind of cool to kind of have everything kind of all packaged up, all your data. You also could download your data into like an Excel format if there was something you wanted to do with that. I suppose you could. I have done that for other things. It's nice that even all my old data still is there. So it's nice to kind of have that, I guess, and see these tangible results over time. I would say one of the main features, favorite features was being able to enter meals and snacks and even like notes. So like you could be like, at 12 p.m. I had a really stressful meeting. Like you would just like add that in as a note instead of, you would never be able to do that in a different app that's just tracking your numbers. So the scoring system was easy to understand. It was simple to track what worked for me and what didn't. I was able to remember specific meals that caused a significant spike and adapt my meals accordingly, or I could easily search the search function. I could search by score, or if there was like a specific food or something that I knew that I had entered, I could search for that pretty easily. And then just kind of been able to apply that, like I said, so switching from regular pasta to chickpea pasta and just being able to also compare results. Like maybe you wanted to do like a test, like I wonder what this is going to do compared to this one, and you could sort of compare those results. Another reason why I liked using the Levels beta program, it really just kept me accountable. I felt like I finally started to see patterns in what I was eating and noticing like, oh, it was like probably that barbecue sauce that I put on that pork or something. Like I could get really specific because I could see it all in one place. My levels were being monitored continuously, so I wasn't missing data. You could see overnight as well, so you got to kind of see like a full picture of like, okay, here was my dinner, and maybe I had a bedtime snack or I didn't, and then you could see how that affected you all night. And oftentimes I could tell I had a bad night's sleep when my levels were kind of all over the place. So just think about things like that. If your sleep was a little wonky, your levels might be kind of off. So just to kind of wrap up my experience with Levels, it was really transformative, and I'm still using it on and off today. The insights I gained from the app not only helped me manage my glucose, but empowered me to really just continue to take control of my health. So I might encourage you to consider using a CGM and the Levels app if you want to understand your body a little bit better. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think some people can benefit, especially if you're like I've said in previous episodes, on the higher end of normal. So in future episodes, I'm going to dive deeper into some more specific insights I learned with Levels and some more features of the current app, that because so much has changed. There's so many more features now that I want to share. So I will do that and just kind of give you an inside look on kind of how it looks now. Obviously, it's been several years. If this was, it's been over 4 years since this initial beta program for me. So I'm going to share that. And anyways, I'm so glad that you have hung out with me today. And if this has helped you, if you have any questions, I'd love for you to send me a DM on Instagram at glucoseglowup. And I just want to thank you for listening and share this with someone who you think might benefit. Keep on glowing, everyone.